Did you change your color of your hair again?
I was thinking the same, but.
Okay,
Let's call this meeting to order. It is Thursday, September 26th at 10 o'clock in the morning. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Wagner,
I'm here.
Commissioner Stacy,
Here.
Commissioner Zoller.
Here.
Okay, and we'll sign the journal. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You might note the last meeting was a long meeting too, evening meeting. We did about a 2-hour session, didn't we? Okay, let's suspend new and old business. We'll move into the sheriff. You have something for us today, if you're ready.
I've got two things I'd like to speak to you about. I'll talk about the really good stuff first.
Okay.
It's, I want to increase the revenue for housing ICE detainees. I'm going to up it to $250,000. I think we're going to be able to hit that target of $1,750,000 by the end of the year. That doesn't take into consideration November's billing. If the government gets that to us shortly after we submit that to them, then we're going to go up a little higher than that. So hopefully that'll come in this year. If not, we'll end up getting it the first of next year. So I'd like to increase it, and I gave Julie a letter for the Budget Commission to increase that by $250,000. The second thing is it's that time of year when I come up and ask for some additional supplement funding to pay all the bills to get to the end of the year. And I forwarded up a letter just a couple of days ago in regards to that. We're looking at in the area of $177,000 in some of the lines. Supplies, on the sheriff's side, supplies, contract repairs, and then jail supplies, food and contract services. And the biggest amount is in the food section. Because you guys know the cost of everything goes up. We actually took on an additional school to provide for bridges, to provide meals for those. That's roughly around 70 to 80 meals a day that we provide to them at lunchtime for the kids there. So, but I respectfully request an additional funding in those lines to be able to get to the end of the year from you folks.
A couple questions, Bill. The first, the one question is to Julie. Do we deal with the cash basis or accrual basis? So that the ICE in November doesn't come to January, how does the county deal with it?
Cash, but then we look at that as.
Strictly cash basis,
and then-
that's the way.
Yeah, but if it's a billed thing by the end of the year, that does go into account. We'll report that in the gap,
Okay.
anticipated.
But it's the same each year, it's.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Typically, they'll have the figures together and they'll submit that to Detroit within about the first week of December for November's billing. And our counts are actually up a little bit in housing ICE.
You mentioned that the school out there, I call it the old Kroger store, I'm sorry, I just,
Well, that's North Central Ohio Educational Center. We've had that one.
okay, but there's another one now, but you receive revenue from that too, don't you? Okay, so there's a higher expenditure in your food budget, but there's
Right.
there should be a subsequent increase in your revenue.
Right.
That's due to that.
And in the government sets up standards in regards to the type of food we provide for them, and the cost is a little bit more for that, for those meals, but we also adjust up the price of the meal just a little bit to try to offset that.
Okay, the last question, and this is just for my purpose, when you come with your budgets last year, and then the previous commissioners cut the budget, the additional appropriations you're asking for now, is that basically the difference what it was cut last year, or is it over and above that?
Say in food was cut, but we're going above what we initially asked for.
What's that total? What's that figure? You're asking for 175 additional appropriation.
Additional for food is 112,000.
There's the spreadsheet right there.
Okay, but what was the budget cut last year?
I think it was cut about 50,000.
Okay, so this supersedes what the budget was cut. Okay.
you know, as you guys know, you make your best projection of what it's gonna cost you, and you go with that, and sometimes you can't project things that happen during the course of the year. So.
It's a guess and best.
Do you have any questions for the sheriff?
I don't, not at this time. Are we not gonna have that today?
I have the resolution
Okay.
prepared if you're ready. We can do that.
We don't have to.
We don't have to, no. We just had it prepared in case.
I have a few comments here. It's always easier to, and I like to write things down because I don't like to ramble, but it's always easier to give a sub back when there's income to support it. So first off, we'd like to say thanks for working real hard through the year to keep that ICE program up. As you know, we had that dip last year, which made it really hard last year. As I look at the revised request over the last few days and the 7 items, I see that the, and I compare that to the expense report, I kind of track the expense reports, that these items do need funding, and I will support that. You know, we really don't have any choice. You know, you have to feed the prisoners and so on, and with ICE being up, food's gonna be up. It does, however, look like there is an over appropriation in the PERS line item in both the sheriff and the jail. In my rough calculations, perhaps up to $100,000. My question is, could Diane work with Stacy to find out what that number might be and transfer that first, and then do the SUP-app to make up the additional with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that would be my suggestion, because somehow we over appropriated both those PERS line items.
Okay.
We've only spent 49% on the criminal justice side to date, 47%, and we're way past 47% of the year, and that's a big line item. 371,000 was the original appropriation, so.
Isn't it, it's 18%, right? That's what we calculate with them.
Well,
Okay.
if you and Diane could just work
Yep,
with that,
yep.
and if there is something there,
Yep.
let's transfer that first, and then my suggestion would be then SUP-app the rest, if that's okay with you. Is
Yeah,
that-
like I said, I hadn't
All right.
looked at the numbers like you had, and I knew you
Okay.
were, so.
Okay. That's the only comment I have for the sheriff. I would make just a little comment to the board on this type of an issue. As we see large requests like this, drawing on a future recertification, we didn't have the recertification yet. You know, we've been hoping for a recert increase from the Budget Commission to set aside money for a future courthouse. And we've kind of thought all along there'd be something in there for ICE. It just demonstrates how future projections, how easily they don't materialize. So I just wanted to point that out to the board. Those are the only comments that I have. All right, thank you, Sheriff, appreciate it, and we will,
Thank you.
it sounds like it's okay with the board, we'll transfer what we can transfer and research the rest, or SUP-app the rest at a future meeting. Okay, wellness isn't scheduled till 10:15. Let's wait until then in case somebody else was planning on attending. Old business, is, Mrs. Wilson, do you have any old
I
business?
don't think I had any old business today.
Holly, do you have any old business?
I just wanted to bring up from the email Stacy had sent the other day that regarding the telephones at the RTA, and I, you know, that's obviously a concern. If we're getting those kind of maintenance costs coming at us, and I don't know, I guess I need a little bit of a refresher. I know we decided to wait because, well, there was a quote that was expiring, and we didn't want to jump into it just because of that. Is that right? Am I
Yeah.
remembering that correctly?
Yep, and he did actually call me probably about a month ago, and he said that he had another program like that, buy one, get one free, something like that going on, but I said, well, we're monitoring the system for the problems, and I think we were trying to see if we could get some sort of funding from some of the departments to help offset what the general fund would have to pay, and I think that's just kind of where
I guess I
They
just
were-
wonder if we should revisit it at the cost of, we've spent $1,000 in upkeep and maintenance, and if your phones don't work. And did you ask him? I didn't ask, I saw Damon the other day, but I didn't ask him. Are they having issues?
I haven't reached out to them to ask, but we can't even transfer from, let's say, the back office to the front office. We can't, people are calling and saying, you're not answering your phones? We don't hear it ring,
It's not ringing in.
and, yeah, that's not good practice.
And this is an issue we've had him in to look at prior, and seems to not being able to fix the issue, so we're gonna emphasize that with him, that it's the same issues,
Yeah.
just not getting resolved.
Yeah, I don't want to, they should be able to, if we're paying them to fix the issues, then they need to get them fixed, but, so I guess we can look at that first.
Yeah.
And if not, I guess I'm suggesting we might want to revisit the whole thing, or might have to. I mean, we can't have phones not working at this point, so.
I think we had mentioned this before, and you're always after me because I'm after the REA funds, but is this something that REA could kick in some money if we decided to go with the new system?
I'll have to check to see if that's on.
Okay, all right. Every time I see her in there.
That's good, that's good.
Okay, other old
That's-
business?
that's all I had,
Old
thanks.
business? Nicole? I mentioned the issue, we talked about issue one the other day. Issue one board met today, this morning. First appointment was at 8 o'clock, and we just finished just before this meeting. We had 7 applicants. Kind of a big deal. This is state bond money. They call it issue one because it was passed by the voters as issue one, I don't know how many years ago. Prior to that, it was issue two, 10 years before that. But it's a bunch of money the state bonds out and distributes that to local governments for infrastructure, typically water, sewer projects, and road bridge projects. We score these at the local level, and it's not really, for the most part, it's pretty standard scoring. I mean, it's not like subjective. You get so many points based on how much you're borrowing. You get so many points based on how many entities pay in. And we went over the scoring with all 7 applicants today. The committee is Mayor Mons, myself, and the engineer. We had 4 of them score in the 40 or above, which is getting pretty close to where you might be funded. It's funded at a district level, so you're competing against all these projects throughout the district that we're in. Very competitive. Now, the 3 of us have to meet again, and we do have some discretionary points we can award based on what we think our county priorities are. So we have 15 points we can add to 7 applicants only one time. I mean, I can't give everybody 15 points. You could put all 15 on this one, or 2 here, 3 there, and 1 there, to try and make them more competitive in the district level. So we do have 4 that scored in the 40s out of a possible 62, I think. Hopefully we'll get somebody in. What the district might be eligible for is around 800,000, I believe, total. So
That's for the
it's a lot.
entire district.
No, I mean, excuse me, that's Seneca County. That's Seneca County. We could get 500 to 800,000 if we scored well enough on some of these.
So are they
applications.
rescored at the next level, or they take the?
They take our score and they try and divide it up a little bit among counties. They're not supposed to go on a per capita basis. They're supposed to go on the score, but they do try and divide it up somewhat among counties. So it's important how we rank them locally, but it's also important that they score well based on what they're doing in their project.
So the.
This is my
the-
first year doing this. I took
Okay.
Ben's place, so it's kind of my
Okay.
first year doing
So,
this.
No, and I don't know if you know the history, but so they, instead of dividing money out and giving each county a set amount, you just need, I mean, obviously if your roads are in worse shape, and depending on that criteria, you may or may not fare better.
Right, right. They're not supposed to divide it on a per capita basis, but there's kind of a ladies and gentlemen's agreement that that's the way it works. Because otherwise you get fist fights, mine's more important than yours, mine's more important than yours. So that's kind of the gentleman's agreement, the way that works, is my understanding.
Cool.
And I'm also on that district board. Mark and I are on that district board.
That's what I was gonna say, who's on the next board? Some from all the counties?
Some from every county.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
And they have a director, Donna Kirkbride, that kind of makes sure everything's done according to what.
Yeah.
So that's just my old business update. We still got a couple minutes yet. Let's run through the new business. There's not a whole lot there.
Alright. Let's see, I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund. It's at the request of Veteran Services, moving $15,000 from their equipment line to their relief line. I have an appropriation adjustment for the Delinquent Care and Custody Fund, 162, moving $4,200 from contract services to other expense. I have a resolution authorizing a fund advance repayment from the Youth Center Construction Fund, 217, back to the Capital Projects Fund, 215. $260,328.91. And at the end of the year, our capital projects funds had to advance money to the youth center funds, and this is a portion of it back. They don't have quite all of the invoices and money back from the state yet, so we just moved what we could because our cash was getting kind of low in 215 and we have projects, so. I have a resolution amending the board's orders of September 24th, 2013, Journal 89, page 460, resolution authorizing permanent appropriations for the VOCA Expansion Project Fund. Let's see. Looks like
I think it was the amount for the supplies.
the amount for this. Oh,
It's supposed
that's
to
a
be
big difference.
150.
The original appropriations in the supply line that we had approved was $4,150. The amendment is only supposed to be $150, so that is what that amendment's for. And that's all the resolutions I have.
Okay, is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the resolutions as outlined.
Second.
All right, any discussion on any of those? It's good to see some of that youth center construction money coming back. We've run at that for quite some time, and it's good to see that coming back finally. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes. Okay, now it's 10:15. Let's move into our wellness update. Bob, Ginger, whoever.
Okay. I brought along, this is the information that I had emailed out previously. Okay. It's just in case. Oops, sorry. You don't want me to? Thank you. What we did, and this is kind of some of the information requested, this is normally what I've presented in the past as well. The top copy there is kind of a projection of expenditures for next year. The people that are eligible this year receive the benefit or the incentive next year. Tasha helped us out. Ginger basically provided a list of names of people who have been participating throughout the year. But about 50 of the people have already completed. As you see, the total number is kind of that first column of numbers. There's 135 people participating as of a couple weeks ago. I believe, Tasha, 244 people actually are on the insurance. So out of those, 135 have at least turned something in this year.
Over half.
Yes. So what I did, assuming that everyone that started the program will become eligible, I kind of costed that out by fund. The first one, the very top, all general fund, I just lumped them together based on this year's premiums, because we don't know next year what the employee contribution will be, and that 25% discount. So, you know, a projected cost of $21,200, give or take, depending on if premiums increase, decrease, if everyone has indicated they're interested, go through and become eligible. No one dives in at the very last second with all their preventative stuff, things like that. And then as we go down, then we broke out all the separate funds and costed those out based on the numbers we had. The general fund at the 21.2, Job and Family Services then out of the rest of the other funds is almost probably right around 20,000 of that. And then you'll see, of course, it's always this way. Job and Family Health Department are a big player in that at the 8,700. But that at least gives you an idea where we're standing, what we project the cost would be out of 2014 monies. Okay.
So Jobs and Family there's three separate accounts?
Well, we have child support,
So that's why
Yeah.
you're seeing three line items.
right, and then our 019, 030. Oh, we have two 030 funds. Children's Services and then our other public assistance. They're all within the same fund, but it's listed separately. Out of that list, a couple notes I had. We also have 8 employees not on the insurance who are participating, which is always nice because if they're conscious of wellness and things, hopefully You know, they're not absent as much, sick as much, looking out for themselves, things like that. And we had 2 people that are no longer employed that started the program. Now, I believe Ginger had indicated from a few of these people counted that they're not going to finish the program, but this is just a projection, like I say. Last year, we had 154 people participate and 126 that completed it. So we're kind of, out of this 135, we could be pretty close to what we were last year as far as becoming eligible and completing the program. The next 2, any questions on that before I just jump forward?
The 50 at the top is how many have completed it this year, or the projection
Projection,
for this year,
yes.
based on what's in?
Right. Out of the 135 total county employees that are participating, we've had about 50 complete the program as of today. And that's give or take. I know we had 20-some the other day. Ginger said she's done another 20 or so just this week alone. With the program winding down in October, people are getting to their 150 points. Any other questions on that? Okay. Then the next 2, all I did is I provided currently what we're doing. The very colorful, larger piece is the program we're currently in. The different choices, the different point factors, things like that. The other piece, I call them talking points or proposed upgrades. I'm not saying I want, you know, I or the health committee or anyone else wants all these in. These are things that have just come up either through our surveys, have been discussed at some of our advisory committee meetings. We get randomly, throughout the year where people just call and say, hey, did you ever think about? So I just wanted to put them out there so the board could consider these and include them in the plan and things like that. The first one, the dual walking program. Currently, we have a pedometer. I carry a pedometer. And you get points based on the number of steps, 500, 1,000, 1,000,000, 1.5, and 2 million. We get a lot of people who don't like the pedometers. They don't like carrying them. They end up in the washing machine. The battery dies, things like that. And they're like, why do we have to carry a pedometer? Can't we just walk for wellness? So I guess what I put in there is, can we do a dual walking program? If you choose to do a pedometer, then you follow the current guidelines. Actually, we'd probably like to bump the points up. Right now, if you do 500,000 steps, you get, I think, 10 points, is that right? 5 points. Putting it as a dual program, well, we also have a program in there that says you can do 30 external visits, or external activities. Gym, home workout, things like that. If we put a walking thing in that, basically if an employee keeps a log and they walk 30 times in a 3-month period, we would count that. At the same time, I really would hate to take away the pedometer program for the person who's getting 2 million steps and they're losing points. So that's why I proposed it as a dual program. We're kind of addressing the needs of those who don't like pedometers. Or I had my battery die and then they changed my computer at work and I lost 600,000 steps, you know, in the first quarter of the year. Just never to get back, you know. That's not good. But I mean, those things do happen. So if people want to, you know, do a pedometer, they do it. If not, they go the other route. The next one, and this is kind of, we're getting this a lot in our surveys about someone on a family plan, about spouses and family members participating. Now, of course, on the surveys, they want spouses or family to participate, but not increase the 150 points. You know, I'm not sure people on the single plan would think that's fair. So I do not have a great solution. We actually Ginger and I met with Tish from Corporate One. At one point, some people from the insurance committee met with Tish from Corporate One about various things. And when I talked to her about this, she said it's very hard to require, you know, if we said all single plans require 150 points, if you're on a family plan, you need 200 points. Well, the problem with that is maybe it's a single parent with young children who would have difficulty hitting 200. At the same time, you keep them at 150, and the spouse does everything with the employee, and they're doubling their points for the same activity, and a single plan member has to do it themselves. I do not have a great solution on this one.
So would there be any way to have, require additional points for a family plan? Since our insurance, we can't offer, you're either on a single or you're on a family. Whether that's a couple, or it's a couple with 6 children, doesn't
Right.
matter, you're on the same rate
Right.
and so forth. So couldn't there be some separation, because we could know, the committee could know, if they are truly just a couple or if there are children, and offer something there so you could encourage that other adult
Right.
to be doing the preventative things, but I think it needs to be that they required more points.
Right. And then, some of the things we talked about is having the employee, like if we did it this year, they have to indicate before we start the program if they're going to do it as employee only, 150 points, blah, 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 or the family. But then if you did that, you almost have to reduce the percentage that they get if they choose not to do a family. And then if the family participates, they get up to the 25%. It gets very muddy. One thing that I asked was, do we just require all spouses, and then we get into this, I don't have a spouse, but I have a family, to do the wellness check? I'm not really sure at what age you would require children to do a wellness check. So
If they decided early they were gonna do they're on a family plan, they decide they're gonna do a 2 adult. I'm just thinking out loud, they're gonna do 2 adults are participating, and we would say that would acquire additional, I don't know if that it's doubling the points, but it's
Right.
it's additional points. But I say that looks like a little incentive, because, and some cases, you're paying the same I'm paying, and I've got kids on mine. So that's, I think that's a little help to, I don't know.
yeah, and I would love to see getting spouses and children involved, because, if your children are healthy, you're coming to work. If your spouse is healthy, there's more than just dollars and cents to it.
Yeah.
I just honestly don't know the best way to incorporate it into our plan and kind of keep it fair for everyone. And actually, Tish told us she was going to go back and do some research,
Yeah,
and she hasn't gotten
need to look at that.
and she hasn't gotten back to us yet.
Okay,
Um,
so it's not off the table. We can still
Well-
consider that. It just obviously has to be pretty quick.
Right, right. And honestly, I didn't even know if the board would be in favor. I'm like, say, kind of talking points to get it rolling today.
Well, we don't have a policy, and I checked on this recently because of my children becoming, graduating from college, that requires a spouse to take insurance if they're employed with their employer. We don't, and there's a lot of companies that do.
Right.
And I'm not saying we're going to that, but we're not that. So having something that requires them to be active in this, I think, is well worth looking at. That's
Okay.
my opinion.
And I can go back and research, and we have a meeting coming up in a week or
October 3rd.
that we can discuss a little bit with the committee as well.
Yeah.
It seems like every time you think, well, this would work, and then it affects another grouping or
Right.
how to come up with that best incentive. But I can get back, either through meeting or email, however you guys would prefer on that one.
Can you get guidance from Corporate One on what other people are doing?
That's what Tish is looking at for me.
Yeah.
I did ask her that. She is actually the one that suggested, you almost have to offer an additional incentive to get the family members involved. And then she came back with, well, maybe that's where the employee gets 15% for reaching 150 points, but if then the family bring it up to, say, 200 points, they get the additional 10% added on.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, we're not on cutting edge here. We're mimicking what other wellness programs.
We are
out there
trying, yeah. I am
So
not
that's
that
what I'm
smart.
saying. So we can be kind of cookie cutter here.
Right. Yeah, the plan that we're doing right now is kind of modeled off what Honda did. We were at a meeting, they presented that plan and the point system. So that's what we incorporated in this year. But she will check on that. I can send her an email when I get back and see how she's coming on that. We met with her about a week or a week and a half ago. And I just haven't heard back
Because
yet.
if it works for other people, the masses, then, I would suggest versus us trying to go out and create our own hybrid there. And then,
Right.
because as you said, whatever you do on the left side affects the right side, and we could just make it very complex.
Right.
I trust that Honda's put a lot of money and research in it, and they're doing it right. So
Oh, yeah.
If it's good for Honda, it's good for Seneca County.
Yeah, their program is pretty amazing.
I heard they copied it off of Crawford County.
It could be.
Oh.
It could be. But yeah, I will see if I can get something back from Tish. We can talk about it at our meeting and then report back to the board. Okay?
And I like I mean, I don't know if you were going to finish talking about the rest of these, but I like the idea of some minor modifications to, you know, the walking program specifically. That one's near and dear to my heart. Not that I was the one who complained a lot or anything, but I think that's good because we do have, as Jeff noted, over 50% who started, you know, at least turned in something to get some points. We're a little, we're under, you know, we're at 37% or so of those who so far have made it. So I don't want to see it get cranked up such a notch that we make it a disincentive.
Right.
But offer a couple more things and kind of watch that percentage. Because like you said, year one, it came in fast and furious and, you know, this is kind of, and, you know, we're in a learning stage here, but any preventive health-related improvements is a benefit to us all, you know,
Right.
so.
Yeah, and
Great.
I would hate to see us get to a point where people can't reach it.
Right.
At the same time, we've kind of discussed, you know, people have to commit and be pushed a little bit. You know, there's always talk of the outcome-based, the biometric-based type programs that people have. And those get very tough. You know, they're
Yeah.
not just you're showing up, you're doing things. I mean, you have to meet certain benchmarks and things. So, and that kind of leads, you know, into my next talking point. You know, looking at the 150 points that we currently have. Now, we did 150 points over 10 months. I know some folks probably had it done in a few months because they did all their wellness things up early and got the majority of their points, whereas some people are waiting. Do we want to increase the 150 since we're possibly going to a 12-month program? Like I say, we also get a lot of things on the surveys that people have some difficulty getting to 150. When I talked to Tish about that, she said, well, you want to push people. You don't want to give them an incentive for what they're currently doing. You want them to commit the time, you know, to get out there and walk more, get out there and participate more, those kind of things. So that's, you know, to me, it's either way. You know, I love kind of ramping things up a little bit, but if it's 150 points, great. They have a couple extra months to squeeze things in. If we want to increase it because we have a couple months, then we'll count those points.
Well, we extended it last year, didn't we? We allowed some of the wellness things, like for November and December last year?
We started the program January 1, but there was a break between the first year and the second year. So anyone that had preventative done within that area, we took those back retro and added the points here.
Yeah.
Only seemed fair.
Because you have to wait a year between those appointments, yeah.
So that's, you know, once again, where the board feels is fair and where you want to see the wellness program go, that's great. The weight challenge, and this is something more Ginger and I talked about. We did get a lot of feedback. I participated in the weight management piece. Mercy Hospital did it. It was very basic. You know, it was how to eat right. I think it was a 12 or 13-week program, and they came in and presented things once a month. We weighed in. They measured us at the beginning. They weighed us and measured us at the end. Some people got quite a bit out of it. Some people were like, it wasn't that great. So we thought, once again, maybe we change that up a little bit. We get a lot of requests for people, can't we just have a weight challenge? You know, I don't want to have to pay the $96 for Mercy to tell me eat more fruits and vegetables. or whatever. So
Pay me,
we,
I'll tell you.
I'm sorry?
You can pay me, I'll tell you.
I know, exactly. I will say I lost 15 pounds. But anyway, I eat more fruits and vegetables. But we thought about doing something, and this could be working with whomever out there, vendor, but maybe we do something over the course of our program that we come in early and the weight, the measurement, those kind of things, and we set goals. You know, probably the big thing is you don't want to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks or 10 pounds in a week like you see on TV. A pound to 2 a week is how to do it and keep it off. But we kind of let people choose if they want to do the weight. We go through the program, so I'm not dropping all my weight, getting my points and putting it back on. You know, we want people to maintain and keep good choices. We can offer the thing through Mercy or Weight Watchers or on your own or whatever. But if people come in then when whatever that date is designated, the end of the program or 6 months in or whatever that is, if they've met their goal, they get the points. And that way we're kind of encouraging a long-term wellness choice exercise, eat right throughout the program. With that, Ginger's already started pricing out like scales that we would put in all the buildings. We've gotten requests for that also, that people, when I come to work, there's a scale there once a week, or however often I want to weigh myself to see how I'm doing. We would
People use them at work.
we have one of those old ones
I'm not stepping on a scale.
that slide. You would not believe how many people at our office step on
One of
that
those.
scale.
And I think one of the judges have their own little wellness or weight loss program going on. I think they have a scale at work. They do
Okay.
that.
Curious.
Yeah. So once again, just kind of a new twist to the weight management. Keeping the Mercy thing. If people want to go through that and gain points, they can, and then they could also gain points through this kind of year-long weight management program. Questions on that one? I'm kind of flying through these. I've read it so many times. Okay. We did get requests for the immunizations, and honestly, other than flu shots, I don't know what that would be. Is that a biggie?
It can be, for example, the shingles vaccine is a big
Okay.
issue for those that are over 55. There's some other, depends if you're going to leave the country or stay here, or what kinds of things are introduced, what kind of bugs are running around here next year and the year after. So it just depends for adult immunizations on what you really want, where you want to go.
Okay. So, I think that's a great idea. Once again, if you're receiving this, or the, I'll be very simple, the flu shot, and it keeps you healthy and you're coming to work, and, the productivity side of things. So that's something we would like to add and give points for that. And I was hoping to work with the health department and also seeing what Anthem covers, because all I could find in the book was immunizations. Which ones, I don't know.
Currently, if it's all right, right now, they do cover the shingles vaccine.
Okay.
That's a lot of us that are over that age, that reach that age, have gotten it because of that. Otherwise, it's $180 a piece to get the vaccine,
Right.
around that, depending on what the market value is and what the price is. So that's great that our insurance is covering that.
The kids, just because I had to call Anthem and check on it for my kids just the other day, my son needs some boosters and stuff, and they're all covered at 100%. So.
And that'd be a nice
and
tie-in
that's
if we do something with family there.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would.
It's a good way to get
And,
points.
yeah, and they're not gonna be annual things, because I'm sure none of those are annual immunizations. That's,
Right.
it's,
And
but it's a chance
the
to.
health district does have now, has a contract with our insurance provider, so the health district can offer that to our employees.
Okay. So something we, if you would like to consider that, we'd have to assign points, to something like that, but it seems like a good piece to add to expand our program. I provide additional mental wellness, and this is just because I've been reading different things of, it's not just your physical health, your mental health. Now, we would probably just have to look at, we've done some stress management, we've done, the financial management type things, all those kind of things that can stress you out. But probably expand that, and maybe just change some of our verbiage, because right now it's just listed as stress management, but maybe we call it mental health, wellness or something, and have a laundry list of things that people could attend, coordinate more that either through a lunch and learn or an after-work program that people could attend. I did see in the book that there's actually, you can call into Anthem, and they have like a behavioral health hotline that they help also. So there's some things there we could do as well. So that's kind of just expanding probably what we did this year that we would count. A lot of comments on changing. We use Mercy Hospital a lot. We've used the same people for the last couple years. Ginger and I agreed, we need to get out there, find different presenters, kind of a different message and those kind of things. So something we'd be doing, not that it's really going to change the categories or the points, but just kind of ramp it up a little bit and make it fresh. We can still work with Mercy, but make it fresh by offering more from others. Including the SEPCO implemented a tobacco quit line, and we would just include that as one of the things. Right now we have the smoking cessation program. This would just also include it. You get points if you go through the program and complete it and things like that. A couple things not on your list, I'm going to save the appeals for last. They came in, if you donate blood, maybe we want to give people 5 points if they sign up and donate blood. I don't know. if people want that in there, but that was a suggestion that we got as well. And then one thing Ginger and I talked about, and this is more to incentivize the people who in the first quarter get all their points, maybe using our grant funding and have prizes for the top 3 point getters. So I'm not going to stop when I get 150 points. I'm going to go all year long and try to be incentivized through whatever we can do with our grant funding, something like that. Once again, just trying to keep it fresh, keep people going all year long, things like that. And then the last one, and I think either Stacy or Tanya and I talked
Yep.
about an appeals. Do we want an appeals process? Right now, Ginger and I are kind of, the old board kind of said, you guys take it and do it. We get a lot of discussion off of this where everyone wants to kind of, well, I don't really play a sport, but I coach a sport. Can I
The
count
interpretation
that?
of, yeah.
And we say no. Here's the guidelines. And what we try to do is try to take the suggestions we get, and especially the ones we get repeatedly by various people, and incorporate those. But we've kind of taken a pretty hard line of, the commissioners approved this plan as is. We roll it out that way. Maybe throughout the year we need to do a little better job of reminding people through our newsletters or whatever. But we've kind of taken more of a hard line of, the plan was approved as is. I don't know if you guys are interested in an appeals process, or if the committee was interested in the appeals process, or how you want to handle that. So,
If you did, I would not, just thinking out loud, I would not create some new committee. I'd use the Health Insurance Advisory Committee rather
Right.
than create some other group.
right. Yeah, I know, like with the health insurance, when we were self-funded, the appeals went through the committee and then came to the commissioners. I really didn't know if the commissioners wanted to deal with, I coach baseball, can I get points? Or how you wanted to handle that, Once again, people,
I would think the final authority would be on your committee there.
okay.
That's what you're looking versus having that come back. You're right, that the commissioners have to decide that final decision whether this is pointable or not.
Okay. All right. And I can talk at the meeting next week then with the Health Insurance Committee. Do they want to appoint a couple people to look those over? I can bring them. Well, I probably don't want to wait till the meetings because we only meet quarterly
Yeah.
if we're lucky.
Yeah.
But if they appoint just a couple folks, then we can get with them as the appeals come in and they can be the deciding factor on that. Okay.
There are some people in the Health Insurance Advisory Committee that are pretty intimately involved in this. I think they
Right.
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
objective.
And I would, I'd probably recommend, whomever, I'm not gonna volunteer people on the committee, but maybe someone like Tish from Corporate One, who does this wellness all the time, is one of the people. Not necessarily she's on the committee, but she could represent Corporate One on it. She's seen a lot, she's very knowledgeable. So,
Yeah.
not
From
sure
an
she would,
advisory standpoint.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that, kind of in a nutshell, what we're looking at.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have questions on it. Like I said, I went through it pretty quickly, but,
I'd like to thank you and Ginger and the committee for all the work you've done on this. It's a tremendous amount of work,
Yeah.
keeping track of everybody's points, organizing these health fairs and everything. And I think it's been very successful. Having done it myself, it's challenging, but yet it's obtainable.
mhm.
Yeah.
And we have good participation. Over half of the people have started out at least giving it the college try. Maybe a little tweaking as things continue to evolve. You'll bring us then a final to approve for next year? Is
Yeah,
that the plan?
What I would like to do is talk with the committee next week. Hopefully by then I can have, some response on the family side of things and get through those. I then bring it up because at the open enrollment meeting, since all the employees will be in the room, it'd be nice just to roll it out then. Actually, I would propose it, when are those meetings?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought they were scheduled, open enrollment?
They are, they're the last 2 weeks in October.
Okay.
Last
I would like to do that and then just start the program November 1st because it ends, right now we went January through October and I'd like to just go November 1st through next October. And then everyone has that 12-month period and then we're actually on the cycle. It took us 2 years to actually,
To start
to get
training.
a 12-month cycle, but I think that'd be great timing.
Yeah, but I think if you get us something, we could approve it very quickly.
Okay. So, and these are, we brought these. These are, when we met with Tori, who's the Sebco wellness person, she was very big on education. and she sent us a report of here's how I think you should spend your grant money. And so we actually bought these frames. They're either magnetic or Velcro on back. And we're going to start putting those in the restrooms. So when people are, I don't know if you've ever gone to a sports bar, there's things to read or whatever, but we're going to kind of do the same concept in the restrooms, bulletin
Is there
boards,
points for
or
going to the
whatever.
sports bar?
Yeah, no.
Just try using
Yeah,
sports.
yeah, sports participation, I know. But, so we're going to, she wanted us to actually buy billboards and all kinds of things. They're not billboards, but bulletin boards. We thought this was kind of an inexpensive way to start. And then what we will do is we can print these out and stuff them, change them periodically, things like that. So we kind of took her advice on that one.
Some,
We'll see
some
how
of the
it goes.
employees say they're gonna be in more public restrooms than employees, but I guess it doesn't hurt.
Right,
Just, like I said, your building's a little different than some of the others.
right. So, and I don't know, committee-wise, if anyone has anything to add to that or not.
I just want to thank, I can't even imagine what it was like to break ground to get it started, so I appreciate everything you and Ginger did to get this whole thing started.
But Ginger's a great help. She's the organized one. Tasha answers us whenever we have questions about that side of stuff. So it's working well. We actually have a lot of good feedback in the surveys. Ginger's still going through those surveys. Some people, maybe the first 9 questions, they're like, ugh. And the last one is, but it's really made me focus on wellness. And that's really intent. So it's going well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, I guess we're ready for public comment. Any public comment? Yes, Mr. B.
My name's Tom Breidenbach. I read in the paper yesterday, I hope I read it wrong, where you, Jeff, and Holly voted against some markers for the cemetery. Are those the stones? Is that what that was about?
I guess I'll just repeat what I said that evening, since you weren't there. Got 2 separate issues. What the Scouts doing, we, all 3 board members, fully support what the Scouts doing, and we've evidenced that by letting them use our what's the right word, our recycled money for the concrete, which we could have used any number of places. The second issue was buying headstones for graves that never had headstones.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that just did not seem like the highest use of taxpayer money. So that's where I came from.
That is what you
That's what I
voted
meant to do.
against.
And
We
there
didn't-
there
we
was
didn't
no, there
take-
was no vote.
There was no resolution, we didn't take a vote. It was just comments.
discussion.
Commissioner Zoller asked us what we were thinking on it, and we shared our comments.
I hope and pray that the 2 of you really go for the headstones. Those people need headstones. They put their pants on just like the rest of us, one leg at a time. I can't talk enough about them. I fought for this cemetery for about 10 years now, trying to get something done. Well, I never got it through the commissioners, but Boy Scouts came in and they've done a tremendous job. They've got over 1,000 hours in out there. It's just unbelievable what they're doing, what the time they've spent, and I hope and pray that the 2 of you go for these headstones. Those people need to have permanent markers.
They will have a permanent marker if they don't, because by law, we have to provide something. We just do not have to provide the headstone that, we're referencing without the visual, but they will have to be marked if they are not.
Well,
And we would follow the law to make sure that is done.
They have a little metal marker now. That's nothing. That's nothing.
No, by law, it says we have to provide a stone and/or concrete marker. So we will have to change a metal marker, that's my understanding, to something. But as Commissioner Wagner said, and use of the tax money, I think we will look at what alternatives we have. down the road, indeed someone, correct me if I'm wrong, could need to be buried there, and the family might choose to provide the stone, and the same, if they don't, then the entity and where the person resided, township or county would have to do, or city would have to do that. But if they would choose to put a different type, so it's not everything's gonna be 100% uniform out there, but I don't think that's the concern. The thing is that it's at least maintained and respectable, and I think that this would still do that.
We want to keep it uniform. These scouts have spent ungodly hours to make it uniform. Please keep it uniform. It needs to look like a cemetery, a nice cemetery. I know Fred mentioned, and I read that he wanted to keep it uniform. I want to keep it uniform. The scouts want to keep it uniform.
And there's one marker out there is a flat stone, and the family paid for that, and we're not gonna disrespect the family and remove what they've put in place. So there's gonna be times that's gonna be out of our control to have it 100% the same. We can't demand anybody to pay a certain amount for what they do, if indeed there is someone else able to provide it.
It's a measly $200 is all it is. And if we could get every stone that looked the same. The new stones are gonna be 3 inches thick with a crown top, 2 feet long, buried in concrete, with a 4-inch riser around it. 10 inches wide, 20 inches long. Let's try to keep that. Do your best, please. I fought for this for a long time. I'm going to keep fighting. I won't go away. I've told other commissioners that I will not go away. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Miller?
Yes, Loretta Miller, Tiffin, Ohio. I was also extremely disappointed at reading the newspaper report about the cemetery action, or inaction, I should say. And I was talking about it with some people, and we also brought up the recent fire tragedy here in Tiffin, and how the community stepped forward to help that person. And that we feel that Seneca County residents would be very much in support of placing stones for those who don't have them out there. And I want to give you folks a check for the county, which should take care of the 2 stones that aren't there. That it's for $400, $200 from me and one of my sisters, the other $200. And we would prefer being anonymous, but I did want to.
It's a little late for that.
I know, but there's no other way to express our disappointment in your actions. Especially you, Mr. Wagner. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was in reference to creating a green space downtown, where the most significant architectural building in Seneca County was destroyed. And in coming up with some landscaping for the area, you had zero hesitation in voting for a $10,000 landscaping project instead of the $6,000 project, which was also presented at the same time. You had no hesitation about spending $4,000 more of taxpayer money to hide the destruction downtown. And yet, for $400, you're disrespecting Seneca County citizens, former citizens. And they were, as Mr. Bradinger, I'm getting the wrong last name, Bradenbaugh said, these people put their pants on one leg at a time, like we do each day. And they deserve the respect of their fellow human beings. And I think that Seneca County community members would be very disappointed in your not respecting the people who have passed on. And the county has stepped forward, or county residents have stepped forward, helping the lady who lost her family in the fire. And I think they would expect you to step forward and respect the people who passed on and are buried in the cemetery. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And thank you for your donation. I'm not sure the proper procedure to accept that. I'm sure there is one.
Yeah, and the other issue is that here again, we have 5 stones, 3 for the city, 1 for the county, and 1 for Pleasant Township. The other stone that was mentioned by Mr. Breidenball, it was marked at one time, and the family had actually come back to the county and asked permission to change that stone to something that they want. I mean,
Okay, if I can make a recommendation here, the city has agreed to pay for their 3 stones.
Okay.
Very thankful for this donation. I think this donation should go straight, not even through the county, could go straight to Welley's Monument to take care of theirs. I would be willing to inquire with the individual who placed a stone on there, and the reason they did it, I would assume, is because they wanted some kind of marking on there, since the county was unwilling to put a like stone in its place. And if you could give me the name of who that individual is, and I
They just did it on their own. I don't think they asked the county to do anything other than if they had permission to change it.
Well, it's because we didn't do anything.
That was one that we didn't have anything on.
Yeah,
But
we
again,
didn't have anything on.
this is first preferences, the family takes care of it, the family can,
Well, that's
does
what
not
I'm
by
saying.
law, we have to
Yeah.
mark it. So we aren't being disrespectful, they would be marked. The uniformity is what you're wanting, and I understand what you're asking for, but that's what we
Yeah.
don't see that straightforward. With the wonderful project what the Boy Scouts did here, by all means. And I'm not discrediting that, and all the volunteers and those who contributed money. By any means.
What I would like to do is make an inquiry, if you get that individual who put their own marker there, to see if they would mind, if so that we could keep the cemetery uniform. And at this point, I would like to drop it. I really want to, I would like to make a proclamation when we have this open. I don't want to belabor these differences that we've had on the board, and I want to praise the volunteers and the individuals that have done this, and I'd like the focus to be towards that now and not towards any disagreements that we may have had. And let's just drop it at that and go forward. I'll be glad if you can give me the name of the individual who put that stone up there. My assumption is they put it because the county didn't do anything. Now, that could be wrong, maybe they want that, and if that's the case, then we have to abide by their wishes there, but I would think that they would be respectful and want us to keep it uniform. Yes, Mr. Wright?
There was nothing but a metal marker there before they put that stone in. I know, I was there. Thank you.
I believe very strongly, but I will, if you give me the name, I'll inquire with them, and that we could have a uniform. With this donation, and the city's donation of 3 stones, that's 5, that takes care of everything, that correct? Even Pleasant Township. If there was 3 unmarked stones, 3 for the city, 1 for the county, and 1 for Pleasant Township.
And then the other stone that's already there.
Okay.
So
Well,
there would be 6 then.
We will take care of that. I mean, we, not as a county, I can get private donations to take care of that so we can keep everything uniform.
As far as this, accepting this donation, I'm not sure what the proper way to do it is.
Go through the Boy Scouts to
Well,
Welley's.
I assume it's made out to the county.
It is, but I can rewrite
You can
it, Jeff.
redo that. That might be best if it went through a private entity, and then, I mean, we'd be willing to process it, but it might be more
I think for
cumbersome than-
ease of things, if we could just make that donation straight to Welley's Monument, that would take care of that. And there's another $200 that we need to take care of Welley's Monument, not from the county, but I'm sure that we can take care of that. We, not as a county, as private individuals, somewhere on there. But again, at this point, I would prefer this whole thing to be dropped, and I want to emphasize the individuals, the volunteers, the contributors, everyone that has helped make this program possible. So many people I've spoken with the last couple of days, and quite frankly, they said when the Boy Scouts took this project on, they said it would never happen, it's too big. This needs to go in, it's not only a proclamation from the city, but I understand it's probably one of the largest projects that the Eagle Scout has undertaken in Ohio. The single largest project. It's monumental.
And the
Anybody-
rededication will be a great way to make sure that there's, you know,
Absolutely.
nice,
Absolutely.
solid
That's why-
recognition continued, which we have thanked them. So I think that'll be really nice on when you,
Yeah,
whatever
and so
whatever you're putting together. on
if
that.
we can keep it uniform and so that it's kind of, it's not only respectful to the people that are buried there, I think we're showing respect to the volunteers and the individuals that have made it happen. And we got bigger axes to grind.
Well, thank you for your comments and your generous donation, and
Thank
thank
you.
your sister
Yes.
as well.
Thank you.
Other public-
If you could just rewrite that to Wellies, I think that would just eliminate a lot of issues with the county. Thank you.
Other public comment? All right, any other business?
I do have a request from the Fostoria Fire Chief and the City of Tiffin Fire Chief for a letter of support. They are both filing for a grant with the Federal Emergency Management Agency for a fund that will support funding of 8 firefighters' salaries plus benefits for 2 years. And City of Tiffin and City of Fostoria has both asked if we could do a letter of support. And I told both fire chiefs I didn't think that would be an issue, so Nikki drafted up the letter of support, got some information on the grant, and I'd like to have you guys sign up for them, and so they can, any help, it just takes a letter of support to help Tiffin and Fostoria get some firefighters in there. That's
Any objections to doing that?
No, that's
Okay, okay. Is that all you had?
Yep.
Nicole? Mr. Miller?
The only thing I'd like to get some direction from the board here, we talked about the Transportation Improvement District and at that meeting, John,
Larson.
whoever from Larson, from Squires Dempsey, they can help us through the process. And again, right now, what we need is education. I understand that. I'm perfectly on board with that. I guess I'm trying to find out whoever we get the education from is, and if we decide to go forward with it, that's probably the firm we need to use. So we have two different, we got Squires Dempsey, that they certainly are a very reputable firm and probably the largest state of Ohio. On the other side, the individual I was talking with, from what I understand, he helped write the TID back in 1993. So that,
So there is a cost, I mean, right now, we're just getting information, we're not being charged anything
No,
for
no,
gathering
the-
information.
no.
I assumed John was just gonna offer his opinion. I assumed he wasn't charging us for that, so I don't know that.
well, yeah, but we'll need, there's an education.
Eventually, you'd have to, engage
That's
someone.
whoever we get, whoever we ask to come in and give us to educate us on it, realistically, that's probably the person we should use. I mean, I wouldn't suggest that we get
make
Keckler and
right.
whoever that group was out of Columbus, is to have them come in and explain it to us, and then we hire Squire Dempsey. I don't think that's ethical to do.
Right,
So,
right.
so
we're
the
just not
reason
at
I'm
the point
kind of
needing to
leaning
engage, but
towards
yeah.
the Keckler group, because the individual I've spoken with is actually helped write the TID, the guidelines. What I've suggested for Stacy, and to get your permission for that, is why don't we inquire with Squire Dempsey, how many TIDs do they currently, are they managing
And-
in the state of Ohio? And then also, I'll do this with this Keckler group, and it's a something Keckler, so it's a large group.
Keckler, Brown, and Ritter.
Yeah, that's it, that's it. And to find out how many they're managing in the state of Ohio, so see who's got the greater expertise.
And did-
That would be my, because at some point, if we decide to go forward with it, there's some fees here that we're gonna have to pay, if.
I wonder who Sandusky County used.
I
Somebody or
know
Valley
that
did
they
it.
haven't used neither of the two.
Oh,
And you know, since it's Holly, I don't know if you're going to the meeting today.
Yeah, I can-
But that's one of the things that I'd like to talk about with the boys at Sandusky County is who they used. But again, I don't wanna use one if absolutely the direction is to use
Right.
the other.
And it's changed. It's changed since the first one, since it was written. Sandusky County told us that they were in the middle of the game and the rules changed. And, you know, and so there's going to always probably be changes
Yeah.
happening with it.
So my feeling is, let's find out how many each one of them is managing, and whoever's got the most, I would make the assumption, they probably got the most experience. Because it is complex.
I don't know if they manage them, they probably just draw up the legal documents that
Well,
create
the-
them. I doubt if they have any management after it's.
But they help create them.
Yeah, help create
Right,
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
and,
legal stuff,
and
I'm sure.
they kind of oversee it, I guess, so that, I mean,
Okay.
it's complex and it's, I'll guarantee it's over my head.
Okay. I'm just happy with the guy you talked to is fine with me. I mean, if he helped write the,
Yeah, but would it not be best to find out, you know, how many?
See how much experience they have with it.
Yeah, the
Just- I mean,
experience level
it can't
versus
hurt.
A and experience level B.
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt to look at it, but whatever, whichever, you know.
just so the first consultation is understood to be pro bono.
Pro bono, yes, at this
Because
point.
we may not create one.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
we don't do
my
it.
understanding too. And before, we would, right now, the Keckler group is, they're gathering information on the scope of the 53 project.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Now, I don't know, maybe John Larson Squires already has got that, I don't know, but if, with your permission, let's find out who's got the most experience at that, and at that point, then we'll talk with them and ask them to come in and give us a presentation.
Okay. Okay with me, it's okay with
Yep,
you?
yep, sounds good.
That's it.
Okay, let's see, anything else?
No.
Holly, anything else?
Nope, good.
And I don't have anything else. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we're adjourned at 11:06. Thank you all for coming.
There is no short meetings anymore, is there?